for dinner I'm gonna make breaded fried pork chop. Now I'm not a chef and I didn't go to any classes or cooking schools or anything like that. I cook because simply I have to eat. And if I have to cook, I'm gonna cook it the way that I like it. I don't really follow any cooking guidelines or anything like that. I simply cook whatever tastes good to me. So if I tried it before and it tasted good, I'm gonna put that ingredient in there. So if you follow any of my recipes, just know that you're cooking at your own risk. So let's start with the ingredients that I'm going to use. Boneless pork loin chops. I use fresh ground pepper and fresh ground Himalayan salt. Paprika, plain breadcrumbs, dried basil, all-purpose flour. I use organic, unbleached, red mill brand flour. Dried oregano, cornstarch, garlic powder, curry powder, about 4 to 6 large eggs depending on how many pork chops you're making and how big they are. I may need to add a couple extra eggs a little bit later on. And to complete the meal, I'm going to add some sauteed onions and mashed potatoes. Alright, now on to the first step. Now you want to rinse the pork chops briefly in cold water and pat them dry with some paper towels. Then I tenderize them using a meat tenderizing tool. I like to get them down to about a ½ inch thickness, but you can leave them as thick as you'd like them. Just remember that the thicker you leave them, the longer it takes to fry them. Now if your slices are pretty thick like mine, they're about 2 inches thick, you can always use a knife to cut them through the center, just like this. And that way you'll have a little bit smaller size slices once you're done tenderizing them. Next, I sprinkle some fresh ground salt and pepper on both sides and then set aside and let sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. In a large bowl, add about 1.5 cups of flour, between 1/4 and 1/2 cup of cornstarch, and about 1/2 cup of plain breadcrumbs. Now you don't have to use the cornstarch if you don't want to, but I use it because it makes the final product crispy, just like crispy fried chicken. Mix it all together. Add about a teaspoon of paprika, about 1/2 teaspoon of curry powder, and I like garlic, so I added about 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Then add roughly about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper and about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Add about 1 tablespoon of dry basil and about 1/2 tablespoon of oregano. Now mix all the ingredients together real well and then set aside. In a medium bowl, add the 4 large eggs and whisk them together. Now I believe I don't have enough eggs here, so I'm going to add 2 more eggs. Once the eggs are mixed, set the bowl aside. Fill a large skillet with vegetable oil, roughly to around 1.5 inches depth. Then heat the oil to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the oil reaches temperature, Take each individual pork chop and first dip it in the egg mixture on both sides. Then shake off any excess egg and then dip it into the flour mixture, making sure you cover both sides thoroughly. Carefully add one pork chop to the hot oil and fry on each side for about 3 to 4 minutes. Fry time will vary depending on how thick your pork chops are. Once done, they should be crispy and have a nice golden brown color to them. Slowly and carefully take it out of the fry pan and put it on a plate or on some paper towels to soak up the excess oil. Repeat the process with the remaining pork chops. Next, rinse your potatoes, peel them and then cut them into smaller pieces. Put them in a saucepan, fill with water, and boil until they are so soft that your fork will go through them easily, roughly for about a half an hour. Once finished cooking, drain the water and mash the potatoes. If you like, you can also add a tablespoon or so of butter or about a half a cup of sour cream while mashing the potatoes. Next, peel your onion and dice it. In a smaller frying pan, I added a little bit of oil. In this case, I use organic avocado, coconut, and safflower oil. Heat the oil on medium-high for about a minute or two. Then add the diced onions and sprinkle a little bit of sugar, about a half a teaspoon. Sauté the onions until they start turning golden in color. Dinner is ready. I also add some grated beets with horseradish and a sour pickle. I like to sprinkle some fresh dill on my potatoes, and I also add the onion directly on top of the potatoes and a little bit over the pork chop. Now, if you have any leftover potatoes and onions, you can mix them together and then put them in a storage container and keep them in the fridge for a couple of days until your next meal. Thanks for watching, and if you liked it, click on subscribe. Also, check out some of my other travel idea videos and other recipe videos.